What parenting trend you strongly disagree with? Recording your children when you punish them. That's private, not for the public. Anything posted on the internet lasts forever. And children are cruel. Wait until at school, see. They will carry that their entire lives. Putting your child's life on the social media. Overscheduling activities. When I was teaching, I remember my kindergartners telling me they had no time to play because every day consisted of non-stop structured sports, dance and such. Overprotection. Kids need to slowly, safely learn to manage risk, and that means that they must take risks. Not letting kids learn this hurts them as adults, and preparing kids for lives as adults is really what parenting is all about. Not letting their kids make mistakes. Oversharing stuff about your kids on social media. A picture of little Johnny's poop in the potty is not cute, it's disgusting. You wouldn't post a picture of your own feces in the toilet, doesn't make any difference coming from a 2-year-old. Making your child terrified to fail. I gave up on so many things because I repeatedly got called, fuck an idiot, if I wasn't instantly an expert. Extremely strict rules in general. I had a childhood friend that came over after school once and he said he had to be home by 6. Didn't think much of it, so we lost track of time playing games. He lived about a 10-minute walk up the street and he noticed it was 5:52, then started freaking out. My dad's gonna kill me if I'm late. I tried saying he wouldn't care about 2 minutes. The next day in school my friend said he wasn't allowed over my house anymore, and I never hung out with him again, all over this kid being 2 minutes late getting home. Not saying no to your children. I don't understand the logic. Setting behavioral boundaries and maintaining those boundaries through black and white logic makes perfect sense to me. Disciplining children based on what other parents are doing. What works for one kid won't work for others. Parents who give their children the silent treatment. Going hours, days, or longer without speaking, making the children feel guilty, ashamed, and confused about what the real problem is instead of dealing with it openly and forthrightly. Overbusying children. Play doesn't mean play date. Play doesn't have to mean organized sport. Your child doesn't need to have scheduled activities 4-6 times a week. Not that shit off. Posting the child's entire life on social media. It's one thing to include a family picture with everyone. But putting a child's entire life online, without their consent, isn't good. Especially when it's about what they've done wrong. Public internet shaming is one of the worst things one can do to a child, because who knows whether that will follow that poor kid around for years. When the cyberbullying is coming from inside their own house, nowhere is safe. And that's not even getting to the people who prank their kids and make them miserable for the views. Never apologizing to your child about any mistakes you make out of avoidance of seeming weak. My mom did that to me all the time, and it has made me feel like I always owed someone an apology because everything was my fault, while I would never expect an apology from someone else, even if I deserve one. My wife and I are basically neighborhood pariahs because we allow our children to ride their bikes around our quiet, low-crime suburban town. I've had a parent flat out tell me he won't allow his son to come over without him because I might do something crazy like let them shoot hoops on the basketball net out front without standing there watching them. Children need a little bit of freedom. You can't be expected to make grown-up decisions when you never had the opportunity to make child decisions. Letting your 2-year-old get addicted to a screen. My neighbor's daughter is a crunchy mom, wannabe influencer. Daughter will not allow adjectives to be used when speaking with her toddler or baby. They are supposed to discover descriptive words through exploration of their environment. I'm sort of unclear on how they are supposed to discover words that are never spoken, like colors or size or shape. As a teenager, I absolutely hate how family members will spill private secrets and constantly complain and make jokes about you on the telephone or when families gather. Also responding to you in a very snotty attitude. I think that's a big reason I am insecure and have social anxiety. Actively encouraging children to use devices so parents are free to use their device in peace. Mothers tell their kids, especially daughters, if he bullies you, he likes you. My parents did it on me and my first boyfriend cheated and dumped me. Allowing your child to watch screens, tablets, phones, with loud sounds and no headphones on public transport. WTF. Parents prioritizing being a friend instead of a parent. They then are shocked when their kid doesn't listen to them at all. Not using sugar when making Kool-Aid. That shit was nasty. Guilt tripping or being embarrassed to talk about sex and puberty. The yes mom, where you never tell your kids no. I saw a lot of those working at Starbucks. It's 6 am and your 6-year-old is screaming their brains out. Yup, you can have all the cakes and sweet treats. It's 8 p.m. and your small child is wailing for coffee. Sure sweetie, whatever you want. This is how Karens are made. My sister-in-law pre-0 occupies her kid, and has since birth with a tablet. He is now 12 and has no friends and zero interpersonal skills. He takes his iPad to dinner, to grandma's, to church and never talks to anyone. It's very sad to see. Giving your kids literally whatever TF they ask for. Letting your kids scream and jump around the restaurant while pretending it's not going on. IDK if this is a trend or not, but it's very common. Comparing your child to others. It doesn't matter if they're siblings, friends, etc. That fucks up with their self-esteem and turns everything into a competition. Removing doors when your kid asks for privacy. You just kind of prove why they want a door. Not believing a teacher when told the child is misbehaving. Kids need to be taught to be held accountable when they do something wrong and to have respect for teachers. The social media trend. Some parents post literally everything on social media. People literally don't understand how predators, kidnappers and other people with ulterior motives might use that information. Sometimes parents even don't bother hiding sensitive information like their school name, bus timings, which can be so dangerous. As a grown-up, I would be disgusted if my embarrassing pictures were on the internet for everyone to see. Also, high school is tough and kids might get bullied over these pictures and videos. Calling your children's private parts cutesy names like cookie and flower. There are so many cases of teachers and other adults completely missing signs of abuse because they assume the child is actually talking about a biscuit or a flower. I believe we should teach children the correct terminology at a young age, especially when those types of crimes regarding children are so common. Naming your kids after your favorite franchise characters. Results and appropriate names may vary. Mom fluences. I'm the parent, so I'm right. I do not in any way mean to coddle your kids. I am all for setting well-defined and well-explained boundaries. A kid should never be unsure about why they are being punished, and the punishment needs to be tailored to each kid to suit their age. It's all about making sure that your kid understands the rules, and to talk it out if there is something they disagree with. Respecting and listening to your kid is a good way to get respect and understanding back. Posting your kids on Instagram for the aesthetic, and just like using them as an accessory and having accounts dedicated to them and shit when they're not even old enough to consent to pictures of them up. It just seems like a gain for likes, and it's an invasion of their personal space, privacy. Putting your kids in as many programs as possible. Assuming that it's your job to help them find the thing, so they can be happy and successful in life. I think it just makes kids overbusy, stressed, unable to explore freely in downtime, not know what to do with stillness. Dressing your child in all neutral colors and worse, buying them all neutral colored toys. Those gray and white ball pits are the most depressing thing I've ever seen, and why have kids if your aesthetic is your priority? Just gross. Screams to me that the kid is a cute accessory rather than a family member. Stop buying your kids everything. Little Tucker is 20 years old, never got his license or a job, isn't in school, and won't even mow the yard. He doesn't deserve a $2,000 computer, video game consoles, or an ATV. I'm still in school, 1-4, but I think when you say anything about a girl they are like, ooh, is it your girlfriend? It really annoying. Gender reveal parties. Crazy to me that toddlers need phones apparently. You don't need a phone till you're at least in middle school when you actually start to get out into the world. Not sharing anything about financial matters. Keeping everything financial away from your kids doesn't teach them how the world works. Of course, maybe not share every single detail, but maybe give a rough figure of how much comes in each month, how much groceries costs, or how much the energy bill costs. It's very common in my country for this to be a taboo, and it really set me up for failure when I started living on my own at the age of 18. I wasn't taught anything about the costs of living on your own. Exposing your children to adult topics with no context, i.e. politics. I had a 5th grader spewing hate speech based on political views with absolutely no idea what he was talking about. Let kids be kids, or let them for their own opinions by creating a discussion where both sides of the argument are explored. Edit: this issue doesn't end at political views, it's a concept that spreads throughout life. The amount of breakdowns we have during STEM activities where kids are required to work as a team is insane. I had to work regular breaks into my lesson plan on those days because the concept of different opinions and ideas is crippling to some kids. Parents who expect their children to be always calm, silent, do everything they ask for when they ask for it, and never make mistakes, never forget anything. especially when children are neurodivergent. That's trauma in the making. Also, treating your children like children, expecting them to behave like adults. There's this strong culture of breastfeeding in the US. Yes, of course, everyone should be able to breastfeed anywhere, but this is not what I'm talking about. There are women and men that have it in their mind that the baby has to be breastfed no matter what, under whatever circumstances. If the mother is not producing enough, or the mother is absolutely sleep deprived, there's no shame in moving to formula. The shame that goes with it is unnecessary and toxic to the woman's well-being. It has to stop. It's not a trend, more a parenting style, but, as someone who grew up getting my ass whooped, I can't say I've seen the benefits of it. So, personally, I don't want to utilize even light spankings as a tool for correcting behavior. Letting them win all the time. Board games, sports, racing, whatever. I beat my son several times at tic-tac-toe. He screamed, "That's not fair." I replied, "Well son, life is not fair, now try again." He did, and I let him win a few games later. Forcing kids to eat everything on their plate. I'm an adult and I rarely eat everything during a meal, so how can I expect my kids to eat enough to make you full and not want a snack in 30 minutes? That's what I tell mine.